They froze people alive. They dissected them awake. They infected them with plague, anthrax, and cholera, then timed how long it took to die. This was Japan's Unit 731, a military laboratory where science became a weapon and human beings became test material. Every subject was numbered, every death recorded, every result logged as progress. Arms were submerged in ice water until the flesh turned to stone. Wind machines and open air kept the temperature below freezing. When the skin glazed over, technicians tapped it with wooden rods. A hollow sound meant the tissue was dead. Subjects were moved inside, and the thaw began. Some limbs were warmed slowly under lamps, others plunged into hot water. Scientists wrote down every temperature change and watched how long the body resisted before circulation failed. Blood pressure, pulse, and respiration were recorded until all readings stopped. The data went into charts used later for Army survival manuals. Steel chambers simulated altitude. Air was pumped out as dials climbed. At certain points, subjects gasped for air, then fell silent. Notes marked the level of pressure when breathing ceased. In reverse tests, pressure was raised instead, documenting what internal organs could endure before rupturing. Heat lamps baked entire rooms. The temperature rose degree by degree, while researchers listed heart rate, sweat rate, and loss of consciousness. Other prisoners were denied water for days. Scales tracked weight loss. Doctors analyzed blood to find how long the body could function without hydration. Each variable was documented precisely: humidity, temperature, body mass, time of death. Autopsies were done on the living. No anesthetic. Surgeons studied organ movement, digestion, and blood flow. Every incision, every reaction was written in numbered notebooks. Afterward, the organs were preserved for comparison against later cases. The procedure was described as live anatomy. It was repeated daily for consistency. To test explosives, prisoners were tied to stakes at measured distances from grenades and firebombs. Pressure readings, shrapnel spread, and burn radius were documented. Those who survived were examined to determine internal damage from shock and heat. These figures helped refine Japan's battlefield weapons. Gas chambers tested chlorine, phosgene, and hydrogen cyanide. Researchers measured the time between first cough, collapse, and death. Protective suits were checked for leakage. The rooms were cleaned, then used again for the next trial. Different liquids were introduced into the bloodstream: saline substitutes, animal plasma, even industrial fluids, to measure tolerance. Results were fatal. Records showed the moment heart rhythm stopped and what organs failed first. The purpose? To find cheaper field substitutes for blood and medicine. Cultures of plague, cholera, and typhus were raised in glass flasks. Each morning, new prisoners were selected. Some received injections. Others were exposed to infected insects. Fever, swelling, and time of death were charted precisely. When epidemics erupted in nearby test zones, infection speed and fatality rate were reported back to Ishii's headquarters. Fleas, bred in laboratories, filled ceramic shells later dropped on villages. Entire communities disappeared without warning. Women were impregnated under supervision. Partway through pregnancy, they were deliberately exposed to disease. Researchers tracked how infection reached the unborn. After delivery, both mother and child were autopsied and recorded as data points. All reports filed under maternal transmission study. Electric current tests mapped nerve reaction. Voltage increased step by step, while instruments recorded muscle contraction. Purpose: to understand how much pain a soldier could sustain before losing motor control. The data contributed to military medical resilience programs. Subjects were wounded to observe bleeding rate and recovery potential. Others were put on restricted diets to find the minimum calories required to remain conscious. When vitals dropped, medical teams documented organ shutdown in sequence. These studies were logged under field injury simulation. Every evening, Ishii reviewed reports, charts of temperature, infection rate, and survival time. He demanded precision. No emotional language, only numbers, each result signed, stamped, and filed. By 1945, Japan was losing the war. Bombs fell on Tokyo. Supply lines broke. In Manchuria, Soviet troops advanced from the north. Panic spread through the unit. Ishii ordered all evidence destroyed. Furnaces ran day and night. Documents burned in barrels behind the barracks. Remaining prisoners were executed. Cages emptied. Labs sealed. The United States soon occupied Japan. American intelligence located Ishii's surviving team. Instead of trial, they were questioned. Washington wanted data on biological warfare. Ishii offered complete cooperation. In return, he and his scientists were granted immunity. No one was prosecuted. The data was shipped to Fort Detrick, Maryland, under classified agreement. Today, Unit 731 is recognized as one of the largest human experimentation programs in history.